Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Shinjan's Laboratory, where we rock around and find out. I'm Shinjan's assistant, and this week we're going to be taking a look at Eula, the Ice Queen herself. It only took 585 days, but Eula is finally back. Long live the Queen. Now, unfortunately, physical is not an element, and since Genshin's combat revolves around elements, that means that physical struggles to have a place in the game, and after everything that happened in Sumeru, it feels really outdated right now. So I was wondering, can we make Eula work as a cryo DPS? No, we obviously can't. Just take a look at her ultimate. Her ultimate deals physical damage, and this is the greatest source of damage for her. So no matter what we do to try to optimize her cryo damage, we will never get her ultimate to deal cryo damage, and we will be losing a lot of damage from her. That already set us up for a lost cause. But I'm gonna try anyway, because that's what we do here in the laboratory. So let's put Eula to the test. So let's start by taking a look at our possible teams. For cryo DPS, we have three possible routes: freeze compositions, mono cryo compositions, and melt compositions. What I'm going to focus on today are melt compositions. And this is the team comp that I came up with. Now, obviously Bennett is here because he's Bennett, and Xiangling is here because she's Xiangling. But just to be more specific, because of her pyro applications. Chongyun, however, I believe is the most important member of this group. Since Eula's pretty much only source of cryo application is her elemental skill, and it is on a 4-second cooldown, Chongyun is here to provide extra cryo applications for her. As you may know, his elemental skill deploys a field that infuses the characters within it with the cryo element. This will make her normal attacks deal cryo damage, and make up for her inherent lack of cryo application. As for Eula's build, given that this is a melt composition, I decided to go for 2-piece Wander Stroop as well as 2-piece Blizzard Strayer. Elemental Mastery will be very important in this composition and for once in Eula's life, so I didn't want to pass up this opportunity. I'm going to be using the Bacon of Reed Seed as her weapon because, well, it's just too good. That's why I got her for her in the first place. And these are the stats that she ends up with all the characters of her team and all their buffs. My Melt Eula ends up with an attack of 3,747, an Elemental Mastery of 122, which takes the usual Melt multiplier from 1.5 to 2.06, a Cryo damage bonus of 61.6, and a crit damage of 171.6. And I will also be comparing against my preferred physical damage team for Eula. I prefer this team over the usual composition of Zhongli, Eula, Raiden, and Rosaria. Because first of all, I don't have a Rosaria C6. But secondly, and perhaps more importantly, this is pretty much the only team where I can use my queen, Xinyan. So with that in mind, this is her physical build. I will also be using the Bacon of Reed Seed, and for her artifacts, she will be using the 4-piece Pale Flame set that I have spent so much resin to get. Mine is one of those few accounts that actually enjoys farming the Acid of Millilet set because it only gets me more pieces for Eula. And I wish there were more characters that use her, and I also wish they fixed physical damage, and that the dedicated physical damage support were better, and how much more. Why can't they just do like Honkai and make physical an official element? But anyway, with this equipment and this team, these are her stats. Remember that the values that I'm showing here come from putting together every single buff, every single ability, and absolutely everything that is to be taken into consideration. So her attack ends up being 3,993, her physical damage is 123.3, her bonus damage from Raiden's passive is 20%, which remember gets added up with the physical damage for the final damage bonus, and her critical damage is 178. Putting them side by side, we have pretty comparable stats with just a difference of around 200 attack, their crit damage in the 170s, but the bonus damage, that is wildly different. Her physical build gets a combined 140 bonus damage, and her cryo build gets a 61% bonus damage. That said, Melt Eula gets a bonus that physical Eula sadly doesn't have, which is a multiplier damage. So her cryo damage will get higher, sometimes. And that is unfortunately the limitations of both reactions and melt Eula. That the benefit that it gets from reactions, in this case melt, will only happen every so often. But we will see just how often that will trigger and how much of a difference it actually makes. But to be quite honest, I don't have much hope for it. In order to analyze how melt affects her performance, we need to first understand how her normal attack combo works. Eula has a normal attack combo of 5 hits, with the 3rd and 5th attacks each hitting twice, which means that her 5-hit combo deals a total of 7 attacks. Of course, in real life you will be cancelling the animations, so you won't end up using her 5th attack, but I'm gonna go and test the vanilla combo. Okay, first what we're looking at here is the damage of her normal attacks infused with cryo without any additional buffs other than the elemental resonances. Here you can see the values on screen. As luck would have it, every single one of them crit. Now let's see how they compare against the normal attacks of the physical build, without any buffs or reactions. There we go. Such beauty. Anyway, here are the values for her normal attacks with the physical build. Putting them side by side, we can already see a great deal of difference here. In fact, the physical build was on average 36% stronger. We already are not off to a great start, but now let's see what happens when we add the melt reaction as well as the buffs and the superconduct. Let's take a closer look at what happened there. Oh my god, I did not see this coming. So 4 out of the 7 hits actually trigger melt. That is, quite honestly, better than I expected. But now let's see how these numbers compare against the physical damage build. Never pause Genshin Impact animations. Anyway, this time around, these are the values. 2 of the 7 hits did not crit, but luckily we can calculate it through the magic of math. And so, putting the results side by side, I couldn't fit all the information here like the last time, so the red numbers are the one that trigger the melt, and the exclamation marks signal a crit damage value. So in this case, the gap between the attacks was lower, reducing the difference on average to 24% in favor of the physical build, down from 36%. But it is interesting to note that when melt did trigger, the values are actually comparable. Take a look at these 21k, 13k, and 17-16k. Unfortunately, on the hits that melt did not trigger, the damage difference is quite big. Take a look at this 5k versus 26k in the 4th hit. But this is just the normal attacks of Eula, which is just one part of the kit for one of the characters in the team. Let's see how both of these teams perform against Masanori. That was 18 seconds from physical Eula. Now let's see how melt Eula does. Oh, that was just 19 seconds. It's pretty much the same time, just a 1 second difference. Huh, I guess we're gonna need to test it out against something that takes a little bit more time. That means we're gonna need to go against the Abyss. Warning, the following content showcases a bad player in the Abyss. If you're easily offended by this kind of content, turn away now. You have been warned. Alright, that was the physical team. That only took 87 seconds. By the way, I'm only going to showcase the first half of the Chamber 12-2 of the Abyss for these tests. Now let's see how the melt team does. Oh, that was 91 seconds. That was only 4 seconds lower than the physical team. And I bet it would have been so much faster if I didn't spend so much time flying around in the air because I don't know how to dodge. Wow. I'm really honestly surprised by these results. But I guess I shouldn't be. Eula herself may be dealing less damage in the meld team compared to the physical team, but the rest of the team really ain't doing much. Sure, the Raiden can be a really good DPS, but not on this team. And Xingyan, well, I love her, but she's not exactly a great DPS. Compare that to the meld team, where first of all, you have Xiangling's Pyronado, you have Chongyun's Burst Nuke, and suddenly everyone else is contributing to the damage. So... I guess Hoyoverse really needs to take a look into physical damage and do something about it. Currently, there's not that much that can be done to improve physical teams. Everything in the game revolves around reducing enemies' physical resistance, increasing your character's physical damage, and that's it. The only reaction that has anything to do with physical damage is Superconduct, and all it does is reduces enemies' physical resistance. I hope that physical damage is of interest for Hoyoverse and that they are working on something to shake up its situation. Or at least give us all either a Eula C6 or refunds if they plan to abandon it. But that's all from the laboratory this week. Thank you for sticking around with us. If you like what you saw, please remember to like and subscribe. And remember, the difference between just rocking around and doing science is to record it and put it on a YouTube video. See you next week!